all this evening, we've had business leaders, we've had women, talk about mental health issues, we've had performers. All right, we've had performers, and we've done this all virtually. And as I'm talking to you, I'm being told that we need a couple of minutes before we actually set up our next panel. So I think the audience understands, right? I mean, none of us have done this virtually, but I think you'd also agree that the spirit of this festival, for those of you who have followed it earlier, is exactly the same. When I opened this festival this morning, I promised you that though we might be behind a little computer screen, we're actually exactly the same people. And I think for those of you who stuck through the day or who've dipped in and out of our live stream, you would testify to that, right? There are all kinds of voices that you've heard here. We believe in the intersectionality of the gender conversation. We believe in making this conversation one that travels across, across genders as well, because in a little while from now, we'll be celebrating the men that celebrate women. We'll be having Sonu Sood and Vikas Khanna up. And, I think the year of 2020 really does belong to them. And, I think you would agree that basically what we're all about is a safe space for conversation. I personally think conversation is underrated in life. Like people say, बातों से क्या होता है? बातों से बहुत कुछ होता है. बातों से दुनिया बदलती है. We're waiting for young Ridhima to return to us. You met her in the morning. She's one of BBC's top 100 people to look out for in India after she became a climate change crusader. But we continue to talk about women in unconventional roles. And if Ridhima isn't able to join us, I can start the next conversation. If Gautam Shetty of Maersk is with us, Maersk is one of our Maersk is one of our partner groups, and it has been very supportive of the We the Women initiative. Gautam, if he's here with us, let's bring up Gautam, and I'll hand over to Ridhima as soon as she's up. Gautam, welcome to the show.
Hi, Varka. Welcome.
Hey, Gautam. Thanks for supporting this initiative. So, Gautam, tell us a little bit about shipping and, women in shipping. And I know we were hoping to connect to one of your female colleagues and one of your tech leaders. And how ironic that we were going to talk to your technology leader, but here's technology letting us down. Those are one of the many sweet ironies of life. But talk a little bit about, how Maersk views the entire sort of gender debate, and it's still a very male-dominated space that you're in. So how do you as a man ensure a diverse and an equal workspace?
Great. Thank you for the question, Barka. I think that's the perception a lot of people have, that Maersk is a very masculine brand, right? And I think what I'm working on is trying to help people understand that it isn't. While that's the perception, I think I've tried a lot to bring in a lot more women. If you look at some of our numbers, right? In India, we're almost 40% women. In China, we're 90% women, and in Manila, we're almost 70% women. So I think that's just a perception, and we have a whole lot of women working in the shipping space. We also very soon will. I think I will introduce you to her. We have somebody who operates the crane who's also a woman. So I think that's just a perception a lot of people have. But I think shipping is not just a man's world. I think we have a entire bunch of women who work with us as well.
I was just going to ask you that sometimes you can have a high percentage of women, but you don't have women actually at the frontline roles. You don't actually have them serving on the ships. You don't actually have them running the cranes. You're saying that's not true?
That's absolutely not true. We have a whole bunch. I would say I'm not saying that it's an equal percentage. I think there are a lot more men, but you will also see that women are also in such roles at Maersk.
Well, we now have the Navy opening up for women to serve on aircraft carriers, right? And you would remember that on one of the We the Women conversations that you, in fact, partnered us on, we were speaking with some of the sort of heli pilots who are going to be taking off and landing on these aircraft carriers. And that's the first step towards women being in combat. I really do wish we could hear from a female experience in the shipping industry, but it's almost as important to hear from men. So tell me a little bit, Gautam. There's Maersk, but there's also you trying to be a man who speaks up for equality. And how is that, do you find yourself checking some indoctrinated patriarchy every day. And by the way, that's not to put you on the spot. Even women are, all of us are products of patriarchy. So it's obviously a work in progress. How tough is it for men? Do you think that we don't talk enough about the kind of pressures that men go through?
I totally believe that, right? While a lot of people today did talk about, and I still remember that conversation you had with Tahira, where you did talk about, a lot of women going through abuse and stuff like that. I think that's equally there for men as well, but men are not able to talk about that very openly because we're a patriarchal society. I think it is
Yeah.
understood that we will fight for reasons like that, and I don't think so that's totally true. I think we try to hide anything of that sort so that people don't perceive us to be non-macho, right? So I think the society needs to be a little more open about patriarchy, and it could come from women as well. I think patriarchy doesn't necessarily only come from men, but I think there's a lot of pressure from from our mothers and our grandmothers who think that men need to be macho and men need to be the front end runners of the family and stuff like that. That's not necessary.
So, what you said about abuse is such a significant point, right? And the pressure to be macho. I always call it the trappings of masculinity because, I remember Derek O'Brien, who's now a Trinamool politician, but I'm not bringing this up in any political way. He spoke on one of my programs about having been molested as a boy. And I think you make such an important point that while we have got to the point where we encourage and we celebrate girls who sometimes take many years to speak about child sexual abuse, boys are almost never able to get to that point, right? It's very difficult for boys to talk about abuse, sexual abuse in particular.
I totally agree with you. I think it's really tough for boys to talk about it, especially because I think we've been like even like in my prior experience, I was not just in a corporate world, but I was also in the movies. But I think men who get abused never talk about it because I think there is a stigma attached that we will fight ourselves. But I think that there needs to be a lot more conversations that happen just around patriarchy and men as well.
Now, Gautam, I want to go back to the corporate world, and how do you ensure inclusive and diverse spaces? And I think I saw a question on it. If we can get that question, that you were talking about this misperception that Maersk is this male sort of dominated space. I think the question was, what policies is Maersk adopting to change that perception?
I think, like first and foremost, I wouldn't say that we're just hiring women. I think we interview for diversity, we hire for talent, and that's been our main motto. But I think what we've put in place is, of course, an ecosystem for women to thrive. Right? We kind of, if somebody's going on maternity and is coming back after a break, I think we give them when they come back, we kind of help them with some of the policies to kind of get back to a little bit of learning on the work jobs, a little bit of flexibility during the first few months after coming back from maternity. So there's a whole bunch of policies that we've put in place to kind of help women get back more easily, and that not necessarily for women. I think that's also for the men who are probably singles or who have to take care of a baby or an adoption. We also provide a similar policy for them as well.
So, Gautam, you've been watching the town hall all day. What struck? What sort of leaped out at you? What were some of your thoughts today?
I think for me, what Kareena Kapoor said stood out quite a bit. I think she said, women need to work, and it also sets an example for children in the family, right? I just have a 1-year-old kid right now. So even when I look at some of the nursery rhymes which go on, I just feel it's so patriarchal. It just doesn't emphasize on how important mother is. And I think making sure that the child sees that is very important.
Yeah.
I
So
think
that's so interesting, right? Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I think I was just, and I'll just quote this little rhyme. It said, Mama Duck says quack, 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 and none of the ducks came back, but Papa Duck said quack, 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 and all the ducks came. It's like, why is it that the kids are not listening to the Mama Duck? So I think
Yeah,
that's where patriarchy starts. That's where
yeah.
the children learn that they need to listen to the family and not the female.
Yeah. And how do you think that this gap, this growing gap between men and women, and it really does exist, how can it be bridged? And after that, there's another corporate question for you, but I'm more interested in the personal one. So how this gap, like sometimes, that whole cliche of Mars and Venus, men and women talk at each other sometimes, they're not able to talk to each other or with each other. Why do you think that is?
I think all this is typically man-made. I don't think so that men are from Mars or women are from Venus. All of us are from Earth. I think what we need to do is very specifically talk about. While I don't think so, it's going to be possible immediately, but I think over a given time, we need to kind of bridge that gap between is perceived to be men's only or women's only. I don't think so. There's anything like that per se.
Okay. One last question for you, if we can bring that back. I think that's more for you, which says that how do different companies compare in your experience, in your work experience, whether it's Target, JC Penney, or how are they different from Maersk? How has your own experience been? What makes for an inclusive and an equal or an equity-driven company?
I think all these companies are very similar, right? I've enjoyed working in each of these companies, may it be Target or JCPenney. I've totally enjoyed working in each of these companies. I think all of them are striving to bring in a lot of equality for men and women. And I think what we need to do is continue on this journey and make sure that we're successful. I think we're taking baby steps, but I think there's a lot of leeway for us to do that.
Well, Gautam, I'm going to say thank you. By the way, for those who don't know, please do look up Gautam Shetty on Instagram. He does the most fantastic artwork. He's created some brilliant artwork for We the Women. I haven't had I wish we had some of those images here, but I'll be sure to publicize them on all my social media feeds. Thank you for being so supportive of the We the Women Global Town Hall initiative. And thank you for being with us, Gautam.
Thank you, Barka. And just one last thing, I just wanted to let everybody know who's watching the show that we are hiring a lot of technology talent at Maersk. So all women who are interested, please feel free to apply. And Barka, happy birthday.
To the first, great move. To the second, thank you. Thank you, Gautam. We'll leave it there and we'll connect with you later. Thank you very much. Maersk, one of the partners on the We the Women Global Town Hall.